let's get into this next segment because this one's going to be a lot of fun. Well, especially with the news that came out like yesterday with the Ravens bringing in edge rushers, Justin Houston coming in, and then them potentially bringing in other guys. Don't know exactly who, but potential guys are Melvin Ingram, Ryan Kerrigan, Clowney, Alden Smith. I think are all available. But Joshua, I'll ask you this first: If you're Eric DeCosta, what is your next move? What are you doing right now? You could be waiting. You could just, sit in your chair and wait to hear calls. But like, what are you doing right now? What's your move right now?
If I'm EDC, oh man, my next move, honestly, it will be pretty much I will be calling every edge rusher available. Me personally, I like Ryan Kerrigan for the simple fact that he's still productive. You don't require a lot. He reminds me of a Pernell McPhee. A guy puts his head down, get the job done, knows what he do, coaches the young guys up, and everybody just feeds off his energy. What's his name? Clowney. Yeah, I'm not even about to hurt myself. I would like to bring Clowney in, but him and Alden Smith are almost the same person, meaning high potential, but nutcases. And Jadeveon Clowney, he brings in that type of mentality as if he's still that Pro Bowler type of guy. Like, hey man, what's practice? I don't need to practice. No, dude, I think you still need to practice. Yeah, he was one of the greatest defensive ends coming out of the University of South Carolina, but your career was up and down. So, and I do feel like with Justin Houston coming in on Tuesday, I feel like he's going to be in the purple and black. But my next move as EDC, since one of my buddies said it to me, and he said Sammy Watkins came in the office, talking that good stuff, or as wide receivers have to become more open, run better routes and stuff like that. I understand that. I respect that. I understand that you want to, have your old offensive coordinators back, but at the same time, you're on a 1-year deal, and Greg Roman, you're going to be on the same ticket with your boy Sammy this year, and I will be moving T. Martin to offensive coordinator for the simple fact that he has a great track record with developing wide receivers. He had a pretty good track record as an offensive coordinator. Also, he was a quarterback in college and led them to the championship game back in the 90s. So I'll be putting a lot of pressure. If I'm an EDC, I'm putting a lot of pressure on these guys because it's been too many times where we are this contender team. Once we get into the playoffs, what we doing? Either we done ate too much banana pudding, or we beat one team and we don't make no adjustments. So if I'm EDC, I'm pretty much putting it out there. Yes, I want you. I want to see my team win, but at the same time, you're in the hot seat. So what are you going to do to produce, to actually get us, further to our goal, which is the Super Bowl?
Yeah, definitely. I think my first move, I'm going to say it right now, fire Greg Roman. However, that's I'm all out on Greg Roman. That's my dealio. But my more realistic move, because I think they've made it clear that they're not going to be firing Greg Roman, would probably be to sign 2 edge rushers. And I am not going to wait for the comp pick formula. May 3rd, I think it is, May 1st, first week of May, just for the simple fact that they may be gone. The only guy that won't be gone is Jadeveon Clowney, because he hates training camp and won't sign with the team most likely until training camp is over, because he has no work ethic. But I think you got to go out there and sign guys, so then we can draft wide receivers. That's my whole thing. The other thing, draft Simi Fehoko. That's my ultimate goal. If I could draft one guy, it's Simi Fehoko, but that's 3 weeks away. But I gotta sign me 2 edge rushers. I would want Justin Houston, and then I would want Alden Smith, because Justin Houston would come in. He'd be the solid guy that you kind of know what you're going to get. and then Alden Smith would be like, okay, this guy could be good, but if he isn't good, you put him on a 1-year deal. Justin Houston, you get on a 2-year deal or something like that, similar to what they extended Calais Campbell for, would kind of be my ideal scenario. So that's what I would do if I was EDC, and they told me, no, you can't. Maybe Steve tells me, no firing Greg Roman. He's just too good to fire, and I'd be all disappointed. But okay, I'll sign some edge rushers instead.
Okay, I mean, for me, I guess, I do agree with you there. Like, fire Greg Roman. I think that's something that it just needs to get done. And I say it all the time on me and Alex's show. Listen, Greg Roman's going to be on a very, very short leash come this season. I give it about 4 games. If 4 games goes by and the offense is looking just as predictable, if not even more predictable than last season, then something's got to give. Something's got to give. There's no reason why it should be 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 in a playoff game, in a divisional playoff game, and the entire stadium knows exactly what the Ravens are about to do. Oh, Lamar Jackson's going to try to run and get this first down. Everybody knows that. Where's the creativity? You know what I mean? So if we don't see any more of that coming up this season, I feel like Greg Roman, he might be gone before we really expect him to be. A lot of us expect Greg Roman to get one more solid year. But I think that he could be gone sooner than later. But I don't, in terms of what I think we should do next, I definitely think that we should go edge rusher. Go ahead and sign Justin Houston. Like you said, Josh, I think we'll probably see him in the purple and black sooner than later. And that would be great. That'd be awesome. Now, I don't agree with signing Alden Smith as well. I think that we should sign Justin Houston and then draft another edge rusher. That way you got a veteran, then you got a young guy. So a guy with potential and then a guy to lead that guy. You know what I mean? So that's the way that I would do it. I would sign Justin Houston and then draft edge and then receiver in the draft as well. Those are my next moves.
So, okay, so I'll ask you kind of a follow-up question on that. So
Sure.
let's say we sign Justin Houston. We've got him. Boom. We're picking at 27. I know you like Terrence Marshall Jr. He's available. But then, so is every edge rusher in the draft. Rousseau, Azeez Ojulari, Kwity Paye, Jaylene Phillips. That's most of them. They're all available. Are you going wide receiver first and then taking an edge rusher later, or are you getting that second edge rusher as soon as possible?
Oh, man. It's a good question. Am I going wide receiver first? I'm probably going to have to go ahead and take Terrace Marshall. If he's available at 27, I feel like he's that type of player who can immediately move the needle for your passing game, especially for us as well. So if Terrace Marshall is there, I'm definitely taking him. Those edge rushers, listen, the draft is actually pretty deep with edge guys this year, as it is with wide receivers as well. But in terms of like actual immediate impact wide receivers, those ones are, few and far between, and that's how it always is. So I would definitely get Terrace Marshall if he is available at 27, and then just draft edge later in the second round.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. I think just addressing the wide receiver position is a need. But I just like the Alden Smith just for the idea that depending on the deal, like I'm not going to sign him for like $7 million. I'd send him for like 2, like a veteran minimum, just because then I could just have more comfort in the idea that we would have 2 edge rushers, because like I really like Gregory Rousseau as a prospect, but the problem is he won't have any production his first year because he has 0 pass rush moves and he's just running around and he's never played the position before. So like, drafting those guys that the later round picks, they won't have an immediate impact, but they could learn and develop underneath. But I'm all in on wide receiver in the first round as long as we sign an edge rusher first. As long as it's not Tony. I'm okay with Bateman and Terrence Marshall Jr. Well, as long as it's also not one of those guys that's like 5'9", 6 foot and up.
Yeah, young guy from Virginia. Yeah, not him.
Yeah, definitely not that. But I like that. I think that would definitely work for the Ravens to go Justin Houston, and then depending on how the draft lays out, whether or not we have an extra first round pick. But I'll ask one more question. This is gonna be a pretty quick answer. Are you trading Orlando Brown Jr. before the draft?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to go ahead and get that done sooner than later. At this point, it's like I'm holding on to hope that maybe, just maybe, we may be able to keep Orlando Brown Jr. On the Ravens for this upcoming season, because with him on the offensive line, that means we're going to be way better. We're going to be way better. More protection for Lamar Jackson, the better. But I don't see that happening. He said what he said in the beginning of the offseason. He wants to play left tackle. That deal hasn't been done yet, but I've heard, there's been rumors, of course, that we've been in talks with the Bears, the Colts, and I believe the Chargers as well, in trading Orlando Brown. So if the assets on all three of those teams are at stake or possibilities to bring to Baltimore, then hey, I'm all for it. Let's get that deal done before the draft, and then we can draft with a clear head and clear mindset. So,
all right, Joshua, you're in the same boat for trading him as soon as possible.
I'm in the same boat, but let me reverse this question.
Yeah,
who would you rather keep, Ronnie or Orlando? Because both of them are viable to trade. The only thing is, Ronnie has a big contract.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get. I mean, with OBJ, you get the best of both worlds. You can put him on the left, you can put him on the right. Out of nowhere, not going. Out of nowhere, Ronnie get the big contract. Boom.
Yeah.
Out for the season. I'm hoping he's ready for by time OTAs, but. Which I actually been hearing that him and Tavon Young are scheduled to actually be ready by OTAs. Okay. So I mean, with that good news and with that promising news, I'm definitely looking forward to having those guys back. But yeah, I mean, I definitely will make the deal with Orlando Brown Jr. Just I'm hoping teams are not asking for us to throw a pick or a player with Orlando Brown. This young man hasn't even touched 25 yet, and he's a Pro Bowler not only on the right but also on the left side, and he hasn't even entered his prime. So, excuse me for being selfish, but you're not getting nothing else but Orlando Brown Jr. And y'all, and depending on the organization, y'all need him more than we need him. Because we can find some guys to plug in. I will say that about the Ravens. When it comes to offensive line, we can plug in a player here, and depending on the defensive side of the ball, we can always find a diamond in the rough. As far as that front seven to come out and play for us. So I would definitely strike the match on that deal, especially the one that sounds the most appealing when it comes to Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah, definitely. I for me personally, my Orlando Brown Jr. deal is actually a mid-season deal, and draft a right tackle in the draft to have him develop underneath Orlando Brown Jr. And then sub him in after like week 4 and then trade him. But I mean, as long as we get the trade done, I think it has to be done, because I just can't see to let him walk and lose out on like a potential first round pick. Like, heck, the Chargers are sitting at 13. I think the Colts are at 21 or 20. Those are some good players that the Ravens could be getting with those picks. But